Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at Microsoft. It is time for another update and we've had some very interesting developments actually since the previous video on this chart. But before we go into those, I wanted to provide the context we are within on this structure. So we are looking at this to unfold as a very strong wave 3 to the upside, where right now we would be looking at a potential internal wave 3 top within one of these degrees. Yeah, this is a nesting of 1-2 setups we could be tracking in this area, and I would focus on this being potentially a larger wave 4 area of support at the levels between the $298 all the way down to the $148.6. As long as we hold here the 50% retracement, we are still looking for developments in this idea of an impulse to even higher prices. Now, in this structure, we have been looking, of course, for a potential extension as we were consolidating at particularly high levels of support. It even took a while before we got into our region of support in this yellow expectation, in this yellow structure, where it only started at the $462.9, and within this initial stronger push to the downside, we haven't even touched it. Now, it so happens that we have extended perfectly into the last level of support, the 78.6% retracement at the $382 instead, and we are looking to form a reversal from this area in a potential wave C to the upside. Although, I want to highly stress that within this structure, we do not need this extension to higher prices. I am able to count this pattern as complete in more than one ways, and I would strongly consider that a substantial top would be readily available for us within this large wave 3 if it is the case to be needed, yeah? Now, as long as we hold the 78.6% retracement within this structure, which already proved itself relevant, yeah, we have formed a more substantial bottom, at least within the very small time frame in this area. But as long as we hold it, we can still track continuation to higher prices, but with a break below that structure, it would be strongly suggested to me that we should prefer to extend in the wave 4 to the downside, expecting a reach at least into the $298 area, the first level of support within our white structure. Now, we will of course have relevant levels of resistance to track that can signal to us, if they are broken, that a more substantial bottom would even be in place already, that even this larger wave 4 in white might not succeed in forming while breaking the area of support in yellow. Yeah, it might be an in-between scenario. We might form a bottom even within this gap, but we will be strongly inclined to believe that we would need evidence that a bottom would actually form within this area. Yeah, we aren't looking for a position in here because it is in a gap that is considerably higher risk, where again, the structure would rather suggest that we would be looking for the larger wave 4 correction. Now, nonetheless, this wave 5 could even be just a 1-2 setup, could work out perfectly fine within that interpretation, but for it to become a high probability area, it will have to create an initial 5-wave move to the upside, as we currently do not have any such structure in place. Now, in this push to the downside into the 78.6% retracement, we have also found structural support at these previous lows, and we are looking to see if we can form a reversal in a more direct fashion. And based on the structure within this area, I might even be able to consider a certain pattern full within something like a WXY structure, or we might even consider a truncation here within a wave 5. Not my preferred interpretation, but the idea is we might be able to look for a bottom to be in place where this would be considered an A, B, C pattern. Now, in this structure, we would assume that we wouldn't form any additional lows. We will be waiting for the signal, the break above the relevant levels of resistance, to favor an extension to higher prices. At the moment, we are within a more speculative territory where we are extremely close to our last level of support, where the probabilities strongly shift to our larger interpretation, which is why the risk is minimized naturally within this region we are currently within, yeah? Because again, the break below the $381.80 in a sustained manner is a strong indication that this structure is going to fail. Now, especially within this time frame, this is not going to be the highest quality reversal area. Once again, no initial 5-wave move to the upside. But if you want to get access to our monthly top picks where we identify for you high quality structures, you can check out our channel newsletter. The link for sign up is in the description and it is completely free. You can then even follow those stocks along with us on YouTube. And I even believe we have a very great selection prepared for this week when we plan to send our first list. Now, in this structure, we are looking once again at an ABC pattern to be unfolding. We have been tracking in the previous video some interesting developments actually, because in this extension to higher prices, we were looking for a potential initial 5-wave move to the upside. I would even go as far as to say that it has followed along very nicely, and I misplaced this area of support. I was tracking something else, but we have pushed into the 38.2% retracement for the area of support I provided in the previous video in white, and we have extended to higher prices. I would actually look for a potential 1-2 setup in this area if I were able to. We even broke the area of resistance, but with the earnings report that came out immediately after, the market sentiment strongly shifted, and we need to be tracking this as part of a correction. Now, this is no longer relevant, and within this larger structure, I might even consider that this has unfolded in a rather different expectation. So we were looking for a diagonal structure to unfold in this area. Yeah, we were looking for a potential extension to lower prices against the last level of resistance, which was broken, but it still failed. And this does happen. It's not always that we will break the area of resistance and we will push through eventually. We didn't invalidate this idea of even a 1-2 setup in this area. But right now, what I would consider to be the most likely interpretation within this ABC structure is that we would have a wave 1 down here, a wave 2 up here, wave 3 down, wave 4 up, and a wave 5 that could have formed a bottom. Now, the thing is, within this structure, I actually will even leave this in yellow because only in the yellow structure are we really looking for the reversal from this area. But within this expectation, we would prefer not to form any additional lows within this structure. Now, I will say this fifth wave that we are tracking internally within this movement does seem a bit incomplete in the sense that, yeah, we would be looking for an A, B, C structure to unfold, and within this wave C, we would prefer to get an additional low before having a more clearly substantial bottom. We might not get that one. It is within a very small time frame, within a fifth wave of a wave C. But we already see within the larger structure, the larger time frame, some divergences here on the 4-hour time frame, and on the daily, not so much, but still within this latest push in the fifth wave to the downside, we see some divergences here as well. And it's not that this is the only way we could be tracking this count as a complete structure to the downside, but within any interpretation, I would have actually needed to be looking for even a potential additional low within this push to the downside in this lower time frame. Yeah, there is no count. I can track where I wouldn't prefer to look for an additional low in this area to have a more clearly complete structure. Now, if we form it, we will get the break below the last level of support, but I wouldn't expect this to be a sustained break, which would allow it to be an okay assessment, an okay expectation, while still holding overall the larger area of support in yellow. Yeah. If this is to form just a fifth wave of a wave C, of a fifth wave of a larger wave C, it's really not expected to dwell too much below the area of support. But for this, I would focus primarily on the 50% retracement, where I would probably focus on the idea of a potential impulse in this area in this wave C, where we have pushed already into the 38.2% retracement, and we are looking to extend a little bit higher, yeah, likely in an ABC pattern, even if this is to get rejected at the $391 level. But with the break above this 50% retracement, I would be more inclined to believe that a more substantial bottom would already be formed and that we would be able to look for the next area of resistance that would signal to us that we would need to look for even lower extension. So the thing is, I need to be prepared for something more bearish to be going on, for something along the idea of a white interpretation where, once again, the larger wave 4 in white would be taking place, and that, yeah, we would be looking to go much below the current levels of support, the current yellow interpretation. So I am considering that we might be looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 within this area. If we are to build such a structure, I would need to consider that we would be looking at a potential additional 1, 2 setup to be formed in this structure, potentially an A-B setup, doesn't matter exactly. But the point is, we will have broken our area of support while forming a 5-wave pattern within this area. Again, there are in-between scenarios that would allow a bottom to form here as well, but I will always need to find evidence to find the initial 5-wave move to the upside, especially as long as we consolidate at such high levels within this chart structure. If we look from a large time frame perspective, we are still very much at extremely high levels of consolidation, and we could be looking to start accumulating, but the risk is still substantial, especially below the $381.8 in my opinion. Now, we wanted to highlight this count, this structure, this idea of a 5-wave move to form within this area, just to be able to provide the most relevant area of resistance that I would like to see broken for a signal that a more substantial bottom would indeed be in place within this yellow structure. And in this case, I would be watching the levels between the $406 all the way up to the $447.6, where a break above the 61.8% retracement would be my signal that a more substantial bottom would be in place. Now, of course, within this orange structure, we are focusing on the idea of a potential diagonal structure, as within this movement to the downside, it is very difficult to consider an impulse to be a reliable pattern. Now, we can even see we have reached the ideal target for a supposed wave 3 within this area, within this expectation in orange. So it should be really no surprise if we extend in a wave 4 and a 5th wave before forming a more substantial bottom, before starting a stronger relief rally. But for now, there isn't much else to add. Above the 50% retracement in white, I would prefer this wave 4 in yellow to have started, and I don't want to dismiss the possibility of other types of extensions to lower prices, but at the same time, I don't want to overwhelm you with all the possibilities in terms of those extensions. We can keep it rather simple, and we know that a sustained break below the $381.8 is our signal that this structure is rather likely going to extend even lower, that this structure in yellow would not be able to extend within this idea of an ABC pattern. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.